I would like to call the meeting to order at this time. Is there any special intentions?
Give one, Mayor.
Oh, okay, Natalie.
Several employees probably knew Ms. Joy Alforda. She worked in the mayor's office for the city of Kenner for several years. She passed away. Longtime city employee.
I have one.
Okay, Councilman Wilmot.
Yeah, I have a good friend of my wife. She was a co-worker at East Jefferson General Hospital. She recently passed away. Shirley Stewart. Please keep her in your thoughts and prayers. And also, Brother Rodney Wood. He's truly a spiritual man. He's associated with the state legislature in Baton Rouge. He's being tested currently for cancer, and please keep this good man and his family in your thoughts and prayers as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Brannigan.
Yes, if you could say a prayer for my son George and his wife. His wife's dad passed away, massive heart attack on last Monday. 68 years old, going way too soon.
Is there anybody else? Okay, at this time, I will lead you in prayer, and we will ask Catherine Topo, the Director of Code, to lead us in the pledge. We thank you this morning for all the blessings that you have in store upon us. Dear Master, as we come to you this hour of the morning, we just want to ask for you to give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding as we handle the business of the city of Kenner. We thank you for the mayor, police chief, fire chief, the council and the administration, and all that makes up the city. We pray, dear God, that you would keep this city safe from all hurt, harm, and danger. For we pray, dear God, that we will have a spirit of excellency in us, that as we carry out your business, that it will benefit all that makes up this great city. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Put your hand over your heart and recite along with me.
Yes, ma'am, we have a quorum. In accordance with Council Resolution Number B14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout the council meeting. Next, we have correspondence, reports from the mayor, CAO, and department heads.
All right, I guess it's me. A couple of comments and some information. I know I've been asked a few times in the city about projects that are either under construction or in design. When we went to the City Park Dog Park several months ago, some of the visitors there asked about the City Park ponds, the ponds that are in our city park, stocking them with fish so people can fish. So we reached out to Department of Wildlife and Fisheries for their Get Out and Fish community fishing program. They sent their inland biologists to evaluate the ponds, and their report was it has high nutrient load, which leading to a higher unusual algae concentration. Their pH is too high, and the water temperature is not conducive for fish. If it was stocked, they wouldn't recommend stocking the ponds because it would lead to ongoing fish kills. So unless we do something different in the ponds to I guess, to remediate all the problems that they've identified. It's just not feasible for us to stock it with fish. So you see some big projects here in the city. The Roosevelt Boulevard design is pretty much done, and we anticipate a bid date of April 2025. So as I told the councilman, Jose always says, you use federal money, they kill you with time, so we can't get that going quick enough. Williams and Veterans, that intersection is just kind of sitting where it doesn't look like there's a lot of construction going on Williams and Vets. When they put the new traffic light mast arms up, there's an issue with it, and they can't hang the lights until there's another test done. So they're coming up with I guess, a way to have it pass their test. So that's kind of the hang-up now. It's a designer coming up with an alternate plan, because that should have been, the light should have been up hanging, and the overlay of that whole intersection should have been completed by now. If you see on 15A in today's agenda, the City Hall demolition is finally going to take place. Buildings A and B. I know they had meetings this week on setting up a schedule with the demolition contractor. So hopefully you'll start seeing some movement around there once the asbestos is removed. Powell Boulevard multi-use path is done. I think the lighting permits was issued, I believe, this week, so we'll have a ribbon cutting there soon. The Duke Street Fire Station is going to begin construction soon. You'll see on first reading today we have a change order for Gibbs Construction because they had to update some of the design to the current code. So that's, you should see that before the end of the year. Bain Bridge, the canal on Bain Bridge and Veterans leading to the airport. That's a $25 to $27 million parish project that's going to begin right after the Super Bowl. They don't want to start it and have a construction site when we have a Super Bowl bringing buses of people in and out. And Trunk or Treat is tomorrow, 5 p.m. Mus Bertolino. It's free. We'll be out there, and yes, we will have a movie after, but after the LSU game, which will be playing on our new video board at the stadium. And Food Truck Fest is this Sunday from 11 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. in Lake Town, and it's free admission, but you buy your food and drink from the 36 food trucks we have and numerous vendors. You have 4 bands, and the weather's going to be perfect. So, and with that, I want to actually give a thanks to the fire department members that went to Florida to help out, and Chief Terrence Morris will identify them, and something else about some visiting firemen.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate for this time. And just one quick question. Can I sing the Star Spangled Banner? Anyway, on Monday, October 7th, in response to Hurricane Milton, the Kenner Fire Department deployed as part of Louisiana Task Force 1, 4 of our members, training officer Andrew Crocker, driver John Ellerman, driver Nicholas Zalva, and driver Kyle Mepro. Louisiana Task Force 1 was comprised of members from the New Orleans Fire Department, St. Bernard Fire Department, Kenner's Fire Department, Hammond's Fire Department, New Orleans EMS, Lafourche Fire Department, and the State Fire Marshal. But I want you to realize by now you may have heard, some of you heard that the USAW team from San Diego experienced a bad accident traveling from San Diego to North Carolina to help out with that hurricane disaster. And 45 of their members were housed by the Fire family in Shreveport, but a couple of their members were critically injured and in the hospital and stuff like with that. So the Fire family took care of our Fire family members that were injured and their relatives until they were family members could arrive and continue to move on. But back to our response. During the response to Hurricane Milton, Louisiana Task Force 1 worked in Orlando and Tampa Bay areas enabling swift and effective action across several impacted regions of Florida. The key accomplishments included evacuations from flooded neighborhoods. Louisiana Task Force 1 responded to multiple evacuation requests, successfully relocating numerous residents from neighborhoods experiencing severe and ongoing flooding. Monitoring rising river levels, Louisiana Task Force 1 played a crucial role in monitoring rising river levels, providing real-time assessment that help safeguard communities from further flood risk. Public safety education. With widespread power outages and increased reliance on generators, Louisiana Task Force 1 helped prevent dangerous situations by assisting with the safe relocation of generators from inside of homes and enclosed spaces. The team educated residents on proper ventilation practices to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning and significantly enhancing the community's safety. And community service in East Pasco. While housed at the East Pasco Family YMCA, Louisiana Task Force gave back to the community by helping clear down trees and clean up the grounds. And support for essential needs. Louisiana Task Force 1 provided critical support by assisting families in retrieving medications from flooded neighborhoods. Additionally, the team aided State of Florida in setting up housing tents for incoming task force teams for displaced residents. So our team did an outstanding job, and they should be commended on their efforts. It just shows the resiliency in the fire service where we all work together to help neighboring areas, not just within the United States, but throughout several regions in the world that we've been deployed to. So we owe these guys a great debt of gratitude for their assistance, and they represented Kenner really well with this deployment. So thank you.
And one last thing, we just got verbal notification that from GOSEP that FEMA will keep their DRC open through the 26th at Martin Luther King. So it's not tomorrow, it's a week through the 26th. Anyone that still needs any FEMA assistance or Small Business Administration also is there. And that's it.
Yes, ma'am. Do we have any resolutions, motions, or other items from the floor? Seeing none, under the consent agenda, we have item 1, approval of the minutes, the regular council meeting of October 3rd, 2024. Item 2 is approval of alcoholic beverage permit applications. We have none. Item 3 is approval of bingo and public gathering applications. Item 3A is application number 2410-24, Big Easy Mopar Association to hold a public gathering on March 29, 2025 from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. for the purpose of a car show at Laketown. Item 3B is application number 2419-24, Discovery Health Sciences Foundation doing business as Kenner Discovery to hold a public gathering on November 8th, 9th, and 10th, 2024 for the purpose of a Fall Fest celebration at 3837 Loyola Drive. Item 3C is application 2425-24, residents of Cotton Bayou Lane to hold a public gathering on October 31st, 2024 from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. for the purpose of an annual Halloween block party in the 200 block of Cotton Bayou Lane. Item 3D is application 2427-24, the City of Kenner, with co-sponsor National Federation of the Blind to hold a public gathering on October 25th, 2024 from 9:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the purpose of a white cane walk at 3800 Loyola Drive. Item 3E is application number 2426-24, Thomas United Methodist Church to hold a public gathering on October 26, 2024 from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. for the purpose of a fall festival at 420 Webster Street. Item 3F is application 2429-24, Williams Boulevard Baptist Church to hold a public gathering on October 27, 2024 from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. for the purpose of a trunk or treat at 3000 Williams Boulevard. I have a motion by Councilmember Sharwood, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan for the consent agenda. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Under the public appearance agenda, we have item 8, public hearings and final passage. Item 8A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 13,674. An ordinance authorizing a public hearing and amendment number 3 to the fiscal year 2018 and amendment number 5 to the fiscal year 2019 annual action plan of the Community Development Block Grant Program for the Community Development Department. Have a motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot, to open a public hearing. All council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. I have a motion by Councilmember, I'm sorry, is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the council? Please come forward now. Please state your name and address for the record.
Fifth District. I just have a couple reservations because I understand that Jefferson Parish, we're just sending a resolution to Jefferson Parish to add people to that, to be able to work on that nonprofit ordeal for the Lake Town. My problem is, I don't know how council members got on that because the council.
Mr. Teft, are you addressing the council on the community development budget amendment?
No.
Okay, we're on, this item on the agenda right now we're talking about is the community development budget amendment. We're not on that item, I believe, that you're speaking about.
I'm sorry,
That would be the next item on the agenda.
that's my mistake.
No
I
problem,
apologize.
sir. Thank you so much. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to address the council on this matter? Please state your name and address for the record.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 52 years. Is there anyone from the Community Development Department here that can give us a little explanation on this item? Thank you. That's all.
DeWine Jones, Director of Community Development. We're just reallocating some funding from the fiscal year 18 and 2019 that we had left over to meet a deficiency from HUD. Those funds will be reallocated to do some rehabilitations for our current year. Then we can close those years out. It's just some funding we had existed in those 2 years. Any other questions?
Thank you, DeWine.
Okay.
I have a motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot to close the public hearing. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. I have a motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot for approval. Seeing no discussion, all council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 9 is ordinances for the sale, purchase, transfer, lease, and/or alienation of immovable property. We have none. Item 10 is opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning for final passage. We have none. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage, and we have none. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Item 13A is a resolution supporting the parish of Jefferson's creation of the Kenner Laketown Area Development Corporation for the improvement of Laketown and Kenner. I have a motion by Councilmember Lahat, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan. Is there any discussion?
Greg Taft, 5th District. I apologize, I'm not all here today. All right, what my concern is, I know that Jefferson Parish has passed this, and that this resolution is for us to be active on it as well. My issue is really the people that were chosen to be on it, because to me, this should be something that the people, the citizens of Kenner, really should be also involved with. The council already knows what's going on. And now, I understand the mayor being on there, obviously, but I just don't really understand why we have to have council members, especially when you look at the last couple of council meetings where the council members that are on here had already voted against citizen wishes, and here this is to protect the citizens and protect the Laketown development. I don't know if that will actually be good. It also makes it look like, when you read it from a constituent point of view, it's a good way to hide funding that's going into this. Now, I realize that this is a mechanism so that you can get donations. And I guess this is the state's way of saying that's okay, to do it this way. Again, my only problem is the people that's on it. I just wish there was citizens on it, and also I want to make sure that there will be open meetings on it so that citizens can attend, because as I understand it, Lafayette Park has the same program, but I have never seen an announcement that there was a public meeting. Now, maybe, again, I don't get everything, but I would have thought that I would hear something if there was a meeting about Lafayette Park or something that's going on with a committee or a nonprofit organization that's part of the government to do something at Lafayette. That is my only concern, and I appreciate your thank you.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 52 years. The questions I have, and I see Councilwoman in my District 4 is in the audience here. I'd like to know what the makeup is going to be as far as board members or how it's going to be set up. I'd like to know what the makeup is, how many, what the duration of this is going to be, and maybe our Councilwoman can come up here and answer those questions. Anybody got any comments, any questions from the council? Thank you.
Brian Nugent, 5444 Erlanger, District 3. I just really want to echo some of what Mr. Teff said. I don't know what all the details of all of this entail, but I would definitely like to reiterate the desire for some level of community engagement as part of the Development Corporation. And again, some of those details may be left to be hashed out, but it's not entirely clear from what's been presented to us at this point. So that's all. Thank you.
Would you like me to sort of address?
You go ahead. You'll say it a lot better than me.
I don't know about that. When this project and the opportunity for this project first came along, the mayor and I, along with several different council members, our goal, and the mayor has said it many, many times, was to make sure that this asset was protected regardless of who was sitting in his chair or in my chair, and regardless of who was on that council. Some of us have different experiences. Some are better with financial decisions. Some are better at business. Some of us understand the law. So we wanted to make sure that the asset was protected regardless of the skills or lack thereof of whoever was sitting in any of our seats. So that was the goal. And the beautiful thing about a public benefit corporation is that it is public. Every meeting is published. The public is entitled and invited to attend. So ultimately, the public has as much or as little of a voice as they want. And it won't just be the mayor deciding what happens to this asset, and it won't be just me deciding. It will be a collaborative effort of people who are true stakeholders in our community, people that have been entrusted with votes to carry out what will be the best for the community. So the mayor obviously needs to have a big voice in that regard. The District 4 council person, because a lot of the money was coming from the parish, or almost all the money is coming from the parish, to have a voice in how that asset is maintained going forward. But we were also sensitive to the fact that there are two particular council members that the noise and the traffic will impact the most. And so we thought that it was good that they have a voice on there because they will be able to represent what their constituents in their districts need and are wanting or are experiencing. So that was how we sort of came up with the makeup of most of the members of that board, trying to be equitable to the citizens, because remember, it's not just the elected officials. These elected officials represent thousands and thousands of people. And if they're doing their jobs right, they will accurately represent what they want at these meetings, at the public benefit corporation meetings. And like I said, all of them are published. The agendas are published. You know exactly what's going to be discussed. So it's a great opportunity for the public to have a lot of input in a way that they might not be able to have in a regular, if one person was making the decision. So that's sort of how we came up with who was going to comprise that board. They have very strict standards besides the council people that are on there. You know, they have to meet certain parameters. We have to have at least one that's a lawyer, at least one that's an accountant, at least one that has economic experience with the, no, with the hospitality industry. So we could have a broad spectrum of people who would have good insight as to how to make this thing as successful as it can be. I think that Mayor Glazer and I knew that this was a once in a lifetime opportunity, and we had to make sure that this asset could be the very best it could be, but also that it would have the longevity of success that we really want it to have, because I believe this is going to change our city. I've seen it happen in Goche, Mississippi, which is the one that we've sort of copied ours after. It has changed by the third concert. They have 3 new hotels coming up. It has been a huge economic driver for that community that suffered a lot of the losses that our community has. It lost its mall. It sort of felt like it lost its identity. And in going there and seeing what they've been able to do with just one small amphitheater and how much it changed everything, we wanted to bring that here. And we've gone, many of us, some of the council members, the mayor, we have actually gone there to physically see it and experience it, and we're bringing that to Kenner, and we're super proud of it. So that's sort of how those people were chosen. The members on that board are accountable to the voters, because if they aren't doing what they want, they're going to lose their votes. And like I said, they're definitely invited to attend the meetings and voice their opinion. The bidding process with a public benefit corporation, you guys have seen on the news lately with, you know, some of the Gretna stuff. This is a little different than what they did in Gretna, but these meetings are not just published, but the bidding process is done through an RFP, which gives us some flexibility, but it still requires public notice, public input, public votes, and then public proposals. And though all of those will have to be vetted by the board to see which one makes the most sense, because the city and we, the parish, are not in the amphitheater business, so we're going to have them, you know, come and manage the asset for us, but that'll have to be put out to public bid. I think that was it. Is that all the questions? Does anybody on the council have any questions? The mayor?
Well, I just want to remind some of the comments at the podium. This is a resolution only in support of something they've already passed. The makeup of the board is attached to the legislation here, clearly states who's on it, who appoints it, what your qualifications have to be. You got to be registered voter, Jefferson Parish, at least 4 reside in Kenner. No less than 4 shall own property in Kenner. So there's a lot in here to protect the city of Kenner long after, like the councilwoman said, her and I are gone and all of y'all are gone. It gives the city a lot of control. It gives District 4 a lot of control of the management of that facility. And the proceeds and the profits that come out of it stay in the Lake Town Development District. It's not like it's going to be spread out anywhere. It's designed to maintain that whole area. And if you put a 7,500 seat amphitheater, it's going to attract a lot of people from out of this area, because you're going to have acts that are going to fill the 7,500. And as soon as we mentioned it in the public that we considering to put an amphitheater there, we've met out there many times with the Live Nations of the world and individual promoters that are very interested in getting their hands in some fashion of running or managing it. And they know, because they're looking, they were already looking in, I think, New Orleans East for an area to put a 7,500 seat amphitheater, because they know there's a void. And when Kenner came on the map, you know, you say it's Metro New Orleans, and Metro New Orleans is in between Houston and Jacksonville and Atlanta, and some of these tour stops that come through. They're very interested, because they can't fill the Smoothie King Center, and the House of Blues and the Fillmore is just not big enough. So there is a need for that I think, on the lakefront of Kenner is probably the best place to put it. So that's it. It's all attached to the legislation, anything you want to know about it. 6 pages long. We had a 6-hour council meeting in the parish and went through the whole ins and outs about public benefits. And the French Quarter had one now it's been around for 100 years maybe, you know, and it morphed into a public benefits corporation. You never hear about them because unless they go bad. You do hear some horror stories about some of them run into trouble, but that's just bad management and just bad people in the places. So I do think this has all the safeguards to protect the city and the parish. And all you're doing is voting in support of something they did, just so we can get this out in the public. We could have never brought this and put it on the legislation. They passed it, and nobody would have known anything about a public benefit corporation and how it's made up unless they listened to a Jefferson Parish council meeting. So that's why it was put on, and just asking for support. I'm in support of it, and this gives you the opportunity to support it if you'd like.
Councilman Lahat?
Yes, ma'am. Rita, thank you for coming. I appreciate you being here. We're full steam ahead with this. I'm very excited about the project. There's various members on this board. You know, it'd be the District 3, which is me. District 4 is currently George. The mayor appoints someone, as does Rita Bohannon does as well. That's not an elected official. So there's people on the board, and we are a representative form of government. I represent about 10,000 people in District 3. And, you know, they voted me in, and I will be obviously responding to their input. Ryan, obviously, we're going to always chat, and I'll tell you when the meetings are, whenever you want to know about them. Happy to hear your input on that, or maybe any lighting you want out there. We'll talk about that too. But no, we're very excited, and Rita, thank you for all your time. I know you had a long meeting this week in Jefferson, but we're very excited about this. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Councilman Brannigan? Councilman Wilmot? You go after him.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A few days ago, I had the great opportunity to spend quite a large amount of time speaking with Councilwoman Bohannon about this subject, and she was very informative and very enlightening on this entire thing. Answered a gene questions that I had, and I think it was very enlightening. And during my many years as an attorney practicing, I formed a lot of entities throughout that time. Some of them were LLC, most of them were LLCs, but way back in the day, I did numerous corporations as well. So I have a good insight to these things. And of course, I read this thoroughly at this makeup. However, this entity formation is quite unique. It is a public benefit corporation that's created, and it has the potential to go on perpetually. That means forever. And I think that is important. This thing actually takes on its own life, if you will. This is not a foreign government coming into Kenner and taking over a major regional business. With this entity, it's designed to operate by Kenner residents, not outsiders. So that's a key factor here, and very important. I understand that the directors don't get paid anything. They don't even get per diems. At least that's what the intent is at this point, and I understand that's what it's going to be. It is to be a nonprofit while investing all the proceeds into enhancing our Lake Town and our major corridor leading to it. What a wonderful thing. So the profits, if you will, are going to go and they're going to be reinvested into our community. The city of Kenner is projected to receive tax revenues for sales on tickets and building user fees. I understand that it is anticipated that this amphitheater is to seat not just 7,500, but maybe even more, maybe 11,000 to 14,000, which would be huge. This would be a major move for Kenner, essentially if Live Nation or a similar company is utilized to book these events for this amphitheater. I do appreciate Councilwoman Bohannon for thinking outside the box. This is a sign of an impressive legislator. However, I do have two items that the Councilwoman, I wish that she would keep in mind for the future. The council at larges are not listed as directors or their appointees. And this legislation is in the form of a resolution, and it's not an ordinance now. And therefore, it does not have the weight of law. It's informative, and we may give it our blessing if we vote to pass it today. Is that correct? Okay. And our city attorney acknowledges that's correct. I believe that we do need a perpetual oversight to operate this facility, and it is an excellent framework for that. I will be supporting this measure, and thank you again, Councilwoman Bohannon, for bringing this to our attention, and I think it's great, and I think it's going to be a great thing for the city of Kenner. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to sort of clarify, though, it does have the weight of law in that it was adopted by the parish, but it can't be created twice. So one of us had to make it law, and one of us had to do a resolution to support it. So that's why. Just explain.
Councilman Brannigan?
Rita, I just want to thank you for bringing this to the city of Kenner and having the administration and the council on board with you, because what this does for the city of Kenner is it starts the development of the Lake Town area. And it's a big deal. I didn't realize it was 14,000 seats, but it was somewhere in between 7,500 and that. Then I would ask Live Nation to make sure Kenny Chesney comes here. So, they got the mayor shaking his head. But it's the big deal is that with the Treasure Chest Casino moving on land, and now this development happened, it's going to spur the development of the Lake Town area, and hopefully it's as successful as the Rivertown area has been, because when you go down Williams Boulevard between the railroad tracks and Reverend Richard Wilson Drive, it just blows and goes. So I'm looking forward for that, and I'm not worried about the noise. Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Okay. Please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 13B is a resolution authorizing the placement of temporary signs on Kenner public property advertising a Hoots and Harvest Swamp Fest 2024 hosted by Discovery Schools and the Nest PTO. I have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Brennan. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda. We have none. Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 13,669, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Pipeworks Plumbing and Demolition LLC for the demolition of Kenner City Hall Building A and Annex Building B, AE project number 20-22037B, in accordance with seal bid 24-6842, and an amount not to exceed $513,330 for the General Services Department. I have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Sharwood. Seeing no discussion, all council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15B is summary ordinance number 13,670. An ordinance accepting the proposal received from Clear World LLC to install 3 solar LED light poles with Wi-Fi cameras and 6 solar LED light poles without cameras on the lake side of the levee in Lake Town, and an amount not to exceed $55,818 for the Parks and Recreation Department. I have a motion by Councilmember Lahat, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan. Please state your name and address for the record.
Ryan Nugent, 5444 Erlanger, District 3. You can probably guess what my question is going to pertain to on this one. Does anyone from Public Works happen to know what the color temperature of these light fixtures is? And I typically would have tried to look through the attached, the stuff that comes with the agenda, but this week and last week were over 600 pages, so it's a little overwhelming.
Ryan, I'll get with you. I have the specs.
Okay.
So we can break it down. I can make you a copy and email it to you.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else?
Yeah, I got it.
Councilman Lahat?
Yeah, this was, Mark, was this you or Charles when we first, these are the Wi-Fi cameras? These are, Charles, can you come up real quick? These are not the fly cameras are 15E. These are the ones we're putting in Lake Town. Now, the camera access, is that going to the police department or is that going to the city? I can't remember
They
exactly.
should be accessible by the police department.
Okay, so we're putting those out there. Those are the ones y'all showed me in spec about 4 or 5 months ago.
Yes, sir.
We're waiting for them to come in.
It'll
And then
be
they're going to
3
be
with cameras and 3 without cameras.
3 with cameras and 3 without. And these are going to be somewhere in the area where those missing light poles are now, the ones, the dark street all the way to the pier. We're
Yes,
putting
there should
some
be,
there.
I think we isolated where one will go, as soon as you come over the levee
Okay.
into Lake Town, there will be 2 near the parking area and a couple around the walking track.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Now, we'll have the cameras out there, which is perfect, and it's going to kind of bolster the other flock cameras we're putting in through the police department. Okay, thanks so much.
These will not require any wiring. It's completely solar, and again, we'll be able to be monitored by KPD.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Charles. Director Alon.
Thank you. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15C is summary ordinance number 13,671, an ordinance approving an agreement with Delta Process Equipment to provide Gorman Rupp pumps and accessories on an as-needed basis in an amount not to exceed $200,000 for the wastewater department. I have a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember Dunn. Seeing no discussion, all council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15D is summary ordinance number 13,672, an ordinance approving a professional services agreement with NY Associates Incorporated regarding design and construction related services in connection with City of Kenner Belt Press Facility at the wastewater treatment plant in an amount not to exceed $259,448 for the Department of Wastewater. I have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot. Seeing no discussion, all council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15E is summary ordinance number 13,673, an ordinance authorizing a 2-year agreement for the purchase of a 3-camera license plate recognition system, including site and safety assessment, camera setup, testing, and freight from Flock Safety, a sole source provider, in the amount of $18,450 for the Kenner Police Department. I have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Lahat. Please state your name and address for the record.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 52 years. I support this legislation, but I also want to say we need a camera at Sunset and East Loyola. There are some who continue to come up that one-way street. It's just a matter of time before there's a head-on collision or someone goes in Canal Number 7. Particularly the Romelli waste trucks who like to take a break and block the whole street. People got to ride on the canal bank and take a chance on going in the canal because they got the whole street blocked. And we need a camera there, and we need it bad to avoid a tragedy. Public safety concern. We got a big light pole right there on the corner, we can put it on and catch them and start letting them have it. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Council.
Good morning. Mr. Morella, we can absolutely put a patrol request in over there and have some enforcement out there for you. The cameras themselves are vehicle recognition cameras. They don't issue citations. We have to physically be out there to catch it to issue them the citation. But these are additional cameras. I'm sure everybody's heard the chief rave about these cameras. They've been exceptional to us. It's another tool that we have. These 3 cameras are going to specific districts for a specific intent. And if the council members, if you want to speak on where you'd like to have them or the purpose of your cameras.
Yeah, so 2 out of 3 of these are going in District 3, and this was actually spurred by a request I had about 2 years ago now. I was out there with my kids, and there were 2 people doing donuts literally right in front of us. It drove me absolutely crazy. I was pissed off. I called him, I called Chief. We left, and he goes, I said, well, I gave the make and model. I don't know if they found the people or not. I said, well, can we put some of these flock cameras in and out of Lake Town? Because if this happens again, I can say, well, there was this red Durango or whatever I saw. Y'all can flock them, as Chief Conley says, and catch them. I'm sick of it. I don't want those type of people in Lake Town destroying it and throwing litter everywhere. So look, and I'm funding these 2 cameras for your department from my office, and y'all have been very responsive to me on this. This was a huge request, well, not a huge request, but a quick request I wanted, and y'all really did go above and beyond in doing this. So they're going to be, I think we determined we're going to be near the sign into Lake Town or right outside the levee because of the levee restrictions, and it's going to point, I think, going in, one of them, and then one of them is going to be facing the exit, so we can track who goes in and out of there. If there's an issue, we can look up and track the make and model of the car.
Yeah, it's going to catch northbound and southbound traffic coming and going over the levee.
Okay, perfect. I'm very excited about this. Thank y'all so much for making this happen. Okay, Brian.
Councilman Brennan.
Thank you. Mr. DeForge, Officer DeForge, thanks for the update. I think this is, after speaking with the chief, is going to put the number of flock cameras close to 80 throughout the city. As you said, the chief has just talked about them and raved about them. I think we've done a good job of making the public aware of those, because there was one hit at Platt and Joe Yenny that somebody ran over. I'm assuming it was a red Durango doing donuts. That's a joke. And anyway, that camera, when it was down, I mean, I had many residents calling to say it was down and wanting an update on when it was going to be repaired, because I think people are aware of what they do for the city and for the safety of the city. So I'm happy to have this other one going in a spot in District 5 as well. So thanks for all your help with it and keeping me updated on all the information, and of course for all the work that the KPD does for us. Thank you.
That camera at Platt and Joe Yenny should be back up and running.
Yes, it is. It is. So thank you.
I know I have flock cameras in my area. Some people saw them and they were, asking what was this about, what was this about. But I would say this, that in my area, it's a lot safer because of the flock cameras. They saw them coming out. There were people that knew what they were. So I just want to thank you all for keeping our neighborhood safe, having those flock cameras in our neighborhood. Anybody else?
All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance amending the 2023-2024 operating budget to comply with Louisiana's revised state statute 39:1310-1311. Item 16B is an ordinance approving a conditional use for a minor automotive repair shop located on Lot 17A, Square 325, Highway Park Subdivision, Kenner, Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, which property is Zone C2, General Commercial, in accordance with the site plan dated August 13, 2024, an elevation plan dated August 1, 2024, and a roof and floor plan dated August 1, 2024, all by Studio 314 Designs. Item 16C is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from AMR's Lawn and Landscape LLC to provide grass cutting in accordance with sealed bid number 24-6847 and an amount not to exceed $360,000 annually for the Department of Public Works. Item 16D is an ordinance approving change order number 1 to the agreement with Gibbs Construction LLC dated April 24th, 2021 regarding construction of Fire Station 38 for a net of $115,000 to the agreement amount, resulting in a total agreement amount of $145,000 for the Public Works Department. Item 16E is an ordinance approving cooperative endeavor agreement with the Parish of Jefferson to provide funding to repair a collapsed drain line in Kenner, Louisiana, not to exceed $150,000. Item 16F is an ordinance ratifying the emergency replacement and installation of 3 variable frequency drives at Chateau Transfer Lift Station by Control Systems Incorporated in the amount of $79,770 for the Department of Wastewater. Item 16G is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Covington Sales and Service Incorporated to purchase 1 CCTV pipeline inspection trailer unit in accordance with seal bid number 24-6846 in the amount of $222,481 for the Department of Wastewater. Item 16H is an ordinance approving a cooperative endeavor agreement with the State of Louisiana Facility Planning and Control, FP&C, for a new Kenner Police Department training facility and Emergency Operations Center Planning and Construction Project number 50-NTR-24-01 in the amount of $2 million for the Kenner Police Department. Item 17 is reports from the council and our special committees.
Councilwoman McKinley.
Thank you, Council President.
Call the question. I'm sorry. Just a hat.
You can't call the question during I can talk forever right now. Thank you very much, Councilman.
We've heard that.
You're lucky I didn't call the question when you were babbling on earlier. Okay, I just want to say that want to wish Natalie a happy birthday. It's coming up next Monday, so thank you for all your, you're going to be 30. I believe you're going to be 30, so happy 30th birthday on Monday.
Councilman Brannigan.
Yes, Natalie came to work for the city when she was 2. Early voting started, I think, today. So make sure, get out and early vote. This is a big election on November the 6th.
We have a white cane event. Who else? Okay. We have a white cane event on the 25th. This is one of the first of its kind, sponsored by District 1, the City of Kenner. This is a walk for the blind, and this is something that we were approached with to help those that are blind and to recognize them, because we do have many in the City of Kenner. So we're hoping that if you all can be there, that we would appreciate it. It's on the agenda, so you would see it. Okay. Councilman Brannigan?
Election day is the 5th, not the 6th. We can tell some people it's the 6th if we don't want to vote in that election.
Anybody else? Okay.
Yeah. Jose, lights on power, do we have any? Because I've gotten a lot of, the Power Boulevard project is pretty much done. We're just waiting on the lights to be energized, and we needed a electrical permit for that. I've got a lot of posts on that on Facebook, people calling me because a lot of people are using it now, and we've been trying to get a permit for a while. Does anybody know exactly when the D-Day is for the energizing of the lights?
Hopefully, it would be next week. We're waiting for the contractor to provide some documentation to our code enforcement so that they can go ahead and release the proper permits and contact Entergy to activate the 2 electrical meters that are there for those lights. So we're hoping, we've been asking the contractor now for a whole week to provide the proper documentation, and what we're hearing is that it will be provided next week, and hopefully the lights will be activated next week.
Fantastic. Thank you all so much.
Item 18 is new business. We have none. Item 19 is unfinished business and motions to reconsider or remove from a tabled position. We have none. Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 52 years. I want to start by saying, anybody who tries to circumvent our laws in the name of religion, which I feel took place in here at the last council meeting by a group of individuals who came down here and the council wisely denied it. Anybody who tries to circumvent our laws in the name of religion, I find despicable and disgusting. Now, I got a response from the September 20th meeting. I want to direct this to you, Councilman Brannigan. We talked about the overtopping of Canal Number 7 in front of my house, how 46 years ago we had over 12 inches of rain and that canal did not overtop. During Francine, it did with 7.32 inches of rain. Your comments to me was, we poured a lot of concrete in the last 46 years. and it's called economic development, and you're absolutely right. But the other side of that coin is simply this. The citizens, the taxpayers of Kenner spent billions and billions of dollars over the last 46 years in federal, state, and local taxes to build a flood protection system. That flood protection system was non-existent on September the 11th. And that, Councilman Brannigan, is called fraud, waste, abuse, and corruption. Now, I want to talk about, I've been getting complaints from citizens in the city about the bus line, talking about it's running late, it's running behind schedule. Drivers, particularly on bus 507, very uncourteous to the riders. So that's something we need to look into with Transdev. And in closing, since Councilman Brannigan was talking about early voting opening today, just when it's a little further down the line, December the 7th, there's a property tax millage increase put on the ballot by the Jefferson Parish School Board, the second one in 2 years. And what the citizens of Kenner need to know, the state lottery has just returned $212 million to the Treasury for public education grades K through 12. Since 1991, the State Lottery Corporation has sent $3.7 billion back to this state's Treasury for public education. And we're going to talk about it a little more later. This is something that the citizens of Kenner need to know and need to think about when they go to that polling place. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Ms. Evelyn Evans.
Good morning. My name is Evelyn Freeman Evans. I live at 307 Forshey Street in Kenner. The old Kenner Civic Association have been before you all before, just recently, regarding a issue with some property at Reverend Richard Wilson and on Farrell Street. Councilman Dunn, there's been several public statements that you have made about your constituents not understanding your support for the rezoning of the neighborhood from residential to the industrial zone. Okay, at the last council meeting, you stated that there were several times that there was information that you received from the community that was opposing the rezoning, that they were lies. That's not true. That's not true. You further stated that the calls from your office that you received, that the members were asking you to just vote no because they did not understand why they were saying no. It is incumbent upon you. We elected you as our councilman. You are in the position to educate them, to support them in every way possible. You failed us. You failed us in that area. We get the information after the horses have left the barn. That is how we are getting, so we're telling you, we're getting no information from your office via letters, flyers, phone calls, until after everything has been done. I find that is appalling for you to sit in the capacity that you're sitting in, and we get no information until after everything is all done. There were several statements that you made regarding the lot that you said, oh, lot 1 is just a small lot. Have you ever taken the time to find out actually what size that lot is? I'll tell you, okay? I've done my homework, okay? That lot measures 169 feet along Reverend Richard Wilson, okay? It measures 868 feet long along Farrell. That is up against a residential area. It's not just a small lot that we are stating. We are concerned, okay? You said that Wendell Dufort told you that it was illegal to suggest a planning unit development. Mr. Dufort sent us an email, and he said, and I quote, on September 19th, he said that it would be eligible, that it is not illegal for a planned unit development in accordance with the Unified Development Code. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. Vanessa Matthews, you have 3 minutes, please.
Good morning. My name is Vanessa Stepter Matthews, 1917 Short Street, Rivertown, District 1. I'm sure most of you are aware that on the meeting that took place on October 3rd, that we were sorely disappointed at the vote. That all of you, except the one person, voted to proceed with the rezoning of the R2 to light industrial. And also, I'd like to thank you, Representative Wilmot, for your support, because obviously you understand our concerns. I'd like to direct these comments to, particularly to Councilwoman Dunn, and all of you as well. On 3 days after the meeting, on October 3rd, that was October 8th, I sent an email to Councilwoman Dunn, to you, asking for reconsideration of the vote. You asked me in the response to give you additional information because I told you we had new information. So on the 10th, I did submit that information to you. I didn't hear anything back on the 14th, and on the 14th, I did ask the Secretary, Ms. Hall, to send the information to the rest of the council because it appeared that they had not been privy to that information I sent to you. I hope that most of you have seen that information by now, which actually gave information concerning command construction, and I heard them say, the representatives say at that meeting, that they were going to use the building for a warehouse and storage and repair of the equipment. Now, their website actually outlines that they use heavy, very heavy equipment, such as excavators, loaders, bulldozers, backhoes, loaders, cranes, and all these types of things. And also, one of the representatives in the earlier meeting talked about how well they had performed at some work in South Kenner. But they didn't talk about information that the DEQ complaints. Incident on Roosevelt Boulevard and David Drive. Neighbors filed complaints with the DEQ concerning the command construction, trucks creating dust and dirt in their neighborhood, rainwater. They had green card issues. Times-Picayune dated September in the Treme area headlined, after botched Treme project, this firm is banned from New Orleans. So that was never discussed. I'd also like to know if there were feasibility studies done, because of course feasibility studies would take into consideration such things as traffic flow, accessibility to our homes, times of operation, noise pollution, dust, emission of fuel from heavy equipment that's going in and out of these, the warehouse. The pollution can cause gas emissions from these vehicles, environmental hazards to us, and all sorts of things. And we're concerned, we're very concerned. And I'm not sure if this decision has been published or not, Mayor and Council, but if it has not, we urgently implore you to reconsider, because the request for reconsideration was timely submitted to Representative Dunn. So we ask you, please, if there's an opportunity, please reconsider our request. Thank you very much.
Reverend Richmond Edwards.
I stand here with no hidden agenda. I come just to go along with two individuals that came before us. I have a deep love for the city of Kenner. I used to live in Kenner, and I'm struggling about what happened last week and possibly what could happen today. No, I can't vote here, but I own property here, and I'm pastor at 2150 Reverend Richard Wilson Drive. So I come with a heart of love for the city, and especially South Kenner. My wife family lives here for generations, and we lived here most of our marriage life. While speaking to Councilman Wilmot, I wanted to convey to him I was locked out of the previous meeting and wanted to convey to him the reason, what was the reason for it happening. Because of overcrowding probably. But I heard a sound while I was speaking to Councilman Wilmot, and it concerned me. My wife and I, we love this city. We have a church here, we have nonprofit, Rejoice Incorporated. We continue to invest in this city. A snapshot of what we have done and guided by my wife and so forth. Since Hurricane Katrina, we worked with the city of Kenner, Jefferson Parish, and Councilman Byron Lee's office. We received investment well over $1 million, and most of it was invested in this city. And we're considered to be a small church. But the things that we've done, we partnered with Pastor Stride from Ohio and so forth, and we gutted houses, cost approximately $500,000 in materials, supplies, and services. We opened a camp here from a Good News Camp. Over the year, $300,000 came in this city. Food, clothing, and cleaning supplies. We developed much-needed after-school care program. All of these things we've done. Delivered food during the pandemic. Grants and so forth that were written by my wife that helped this city. We volunteered to speak at Woods and so forth. Evelyn Soniat was the principal. We supported Clancy's Elementary School. We supported Washington Elementary School, thousands of dollars worth of books and materials and supplies. And after all of this, we invested in the city to be met with the disrespect. Because we may have a difference of opinion, I expected integrity, honesty, transparency, empathy, and accountability. Set the record straight. I personally know one person when it was mentioned that they don't live here. But my wife and I own property here. We pay property taxes. We have a right to concern what our opinions are. And it's important for you to understand that. No, we can't vote here, but our love is here. Our love is for this city. We do those things because we love the city. And we'll continue to do those things, despite of disappointments, things that are said that are incorrect. But we come just to show that we love the problem is the neglect of South Kenner. Avoid the rumors by explaining and giving information that clarify everything that needs to be said. That's what's happening. People are struggling because of the rumors, because they don't understand until we found out to.
Time. Yes. Minister Deborah Edwards.
Good morning. I'm Deborah Edwards, 2525 6th Street, where I own property. And I'm concerned about the lack of consideration of community needs. I grew up here. My grandparents grew up here. My mother was the first woman and Black to be considered as a superintendent, she worked as a superintendent in 1984 in the school system. We have a vested interest in everything that happens in especially South Kenner. But I just want you to understand that what happens in South Kenner is a reflection on what happens in North Kenner. If we are struggling, the whole city is struggling. Consider that. Consider that we know that you have your own special elected areas, but if things are not operating the way they should, consider that. Consider the fact that our folk in South Carolina are going to suffer because of the change of the rezoning. A PUD can be done. A PUD can be done to protect that area between the property line for where the residential property line and where the construction company wants to work. We need to please consider the needs of our community. We work hard to protect the integrity, to protect the young people especially. Our focus is really on the youth in our community. And we will continue that. But we want not only the youth to be considered, but the residents in areas that need the support more than anything else in the world. Please, please consider rethinking what has been done for those folk on Farrar Street. It's important, it's critical, and it will impact not only South Carolina, but all of us. Because if our folk get sick from fumes, if our folk get sick from sand or gravel or any pollutants in that area, do a study. Do a study before you make decisions to determine the impact that all of this is going to have on our community. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for listening. And we continue to do whatever we can to support the city of Kenner and every person. Our ministry is here. Our ministry is here, and it has been for years. We have had support from the board in the past, and we hope to have support from the board right now and in the future. Thank you very much.
Greg Taft.
Greg Taft, 5th District. I agree with y'all 100%. And let me tell you, that's from the heart. It brings me back to the subject of last council meeting when there was I don't know if it was a church or someone that was wanting to have a gathering to perform church services that y'all voted against because they didn't have ample parking, as I recall. And I think I heard, but I can't be sure, but I think I heard in order for the property that one of the ladies owned had to be paved. My question came up when I went down Williams Boulevard to Esplanade, and where there is a business, most of their parking is in the back, which is on gravel. And I guess what I'm questioning is why couldn't they have put gravel in that one area to allow the parking that they were looking for so they could have their services? I don't know if anybody even thought about that. The only thing I heard was that they had to put pavement, which would be costly because of the code. But if a business can have parking in the back of their building, a church gathering, I don't know why they couldn't. Anyway, that's just one thing. That was at the last council meeting. And the other thing I wanted to bring up was a couple of questions for Chief Morris. On social media, there's been some things brought up that are concerning, but as always, we need to get down to the truth. So I got a couple of questions for the chief, if he doesn't mind answering for me. One of them is that Station 35 was brought up, and it was said that the rear door was not working. It said that it also had a broken sewer line along with termites, infested with termites. And also that we had one truck that the AC was not working. So when they went out on a call, in order to stay cool, they had to roll the window down. And when they roll the window down, they can't hear the radio very clear, which can get confusing. And that radio, I take it, from the comments that I saw, is very, very important. So if you don't mind, Chief Morris, if you could bring us up to date on that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Real briefly, thank you, Mr. Teff. Real briefly, speak about Station 35. We are in the process, that station will be torn down along with the City Hall complex. So that's part of the reason why we're not spending the money to fix a door on a building we're about to demolish. Okay. The sewer problem that you're speaking of has been there, according to what I've heard earlier, for several years, 8, 10 years, or however long it's been. Look like they had a sewer problem. This is my first hearing of it, but if you had a sewer problem at your house, I don't think you would wait 8 to 10 years to report it. But then again, we're tearing that building down. You just heard we're in the process of breaking ground for Station 38. In addition to tearing Station 35 down, we just set up an in-house committee with several firemen to design a new Station 35. So we're in the process of moving the department forward in a manner that'll make the city proud. As I said, all of our fire apparatus, as I told you last meeting, next year when we get the next 2 apparatus in, all 7 frontline fire trucks will be NFPA compliant under 15 years. And I think that would be probably the first time that that's happened in the history of the city of Kenner, which then allows us to start replacing the old equipment and have better spares. So we should have a lot less of these problems. We have a problem with a truck now that's 30 years old. The question is, do we spend another $25,000 repairing this 30-year-old truck, or wait until next year until the new trucks come in? But I asked Jason Dyer, the Chief Administration, who handles the maintenance of our apparatus in our stations, to speak, to give you more information on that.
Good morning. So currently we do have 1 truck that does not have air conditioning, possibly 2 trucks that do have air conditioning working inside of it. These trucks are older trucks, so part of the problem is getting parts to repair that air conditioning. We having an older fleet, we can't find the parts. The contracted companies that we're using cannot find the parts. 368, which is located right here in Rivertown, that is 1 truck, that is a frontline truck, that the air conditioning is not working on it. We received that truck on loan from Jefferson Parish that we've taken possession of. That is one of the trucks that is in that situation. We do have a contract now with Sid & Martin's for repairs. It has already been looked at. The parts are on order to repair that air conditioner. The other truck that the air conditioner is broken in is the one that he referred to that's right now out of service, and it's going to cost about $25,000 to repair. And that's for braking issues, transmission issues, and we have to determine whether or not it's worth fixing at this time. As far as that, the other trucks that we have right now, everything is going through this process at Sid & Martin's to be inspected and repaired. So that's the status of the trucks right now. 378 is the truck that's been out of service due to the previous contracted maintenance company we had. We actually have it at Sid & Martin's right now, and it has a couple items to repair it on it, and that truck, for the first time in a year, will be back in service within the next week or 2. So it completed its pump testing, so it'll be back in service, so that'll be good for the department. Anything else? Okay, no problem.
Ron Nugent.
Ryan Nugent, 5444 Erlanger in District 3. I had a couple things I wanted to comment on. The first was, it's actually item 16C on the ordinance and resolutions and summary for next week's agenda. This has to do with the annual grass cutting contract. And despite the 655-page agenda that we had for today, I was able to find the section that actually deals with that contract in particular, and I was surprised to find that it stipulates debris collection. And it talks about, basically if there is debris that is found in the area that's being mowed, whoever is responsible for the contract, I don't know if it's the same company that had the contract this year that's going to have it next year, but they're supposed to pick up that debris. Let me tell you, that is not happening. In particular, in Erlanger, I can cite that as a perfect example. Whenever we have tree limbs from all the trees and everything that we have in Erlanger along the walking trail that are down during storms or other events, they sit there indefinitely. These crews will basically shove it under a tree, shove it by the curb. They don't actually take care of it, though. What typically happens is we'll either call the city about a half dozen times and eventually get it taken care of, or a lot of us have taken to just taking care of it ourselves. We'll go out there with a chainsaw, chop it up, put it in our own trash bins, and get it taken away by the trash service. So if this is actually part of the contract, it's something that definitely needs to be enforced, because it shouldn't be incumbent upon the citizens, and it shouldn't be on the city's dime if it's something that we're already paying them to do. So that was item number one. And then item number two, I hope I don't get myself in trouble for this, but it's something that was mentioned in the context of I think some of what happened at the most recent Jefferson Parish Council meeting, along with what may have transpired at the October 3rd Kenner Council meeting. When it comes to elected representation and the frustrations that people have with these issues, whether it be the new Oshner complex or this rezoning here in Kenner, people talk about their elected officials. And one of the problems that I have to be frank that we do have, and this certainly does not apply to everyone or every council member, but in a lot of elections, what it comes down to is people don't run on platforms. People run on a series of endorsements. I went to this high school, I'm part of this organization, I got endorsed by this old boys club and this old girls club, and we don't know in a lot of cases where people actually stand on these issues that we do care about. So again, I just wanted to cite that as, like I said, the Oshner situation and this rezoning situation are perfect examples. If we knew where people stood on these issues, we could actually have more of an informed vote. And that is all. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to, that's all on the list, I would like to respond to some of this. Whenever there is a rezoning change, there are rules that's already set in place. And one of the rules to that is that there is a list that's given through the planning department, which covers 250 feet of that perimeter. We did have an early neighborhood meeting, and that meeting was held at Oakland Baptist Church. If you would look into the notes, there is notes of that meeting. And the questions we had, as long as those people that was there had questions to ask or whatever, they were addressed at that early neighborhood meeting. How I know? Because I was there. And then after that, there were those that said, we want to hear from the councilwoman. So I get up to the mic, and nobody is asking me anything about rezoning. They wanted to know about the AP Clay and why the gym wasn't open, and a lot of that was really a lot of misinformation, because everybody knows that the MLK building is under community development, and I know that they have put it out many a times that they're going to tear that building down. One lady was concerned that the Buddy Lawson gym was not open, which is not true, because Buddy Lawson, we had just finished, community development had just finished with 75 kids, I believe, at a summer camp. Nobody got up and from Farrow Street or whatever was concerned about what was going on with that rezoning. No one came up to us in that early neighborhood meeting. We have notes of it. Everything is open. When I looked, I saw a flyer that was put out. This administration spoke with one of the with somebody from Old Kenner Civic Association. They spoke with them, trying to get a handle on what was all this about. No one that I spoke with on the phone, there were 7 calls exactly. 3 of them called and said, just say no. The other 4 I personally did speak with. And those 4 people say, well, you know, they told me to call you and tell you to vote no, but I don't even know what it's about. So, you know, I explained to them about the zoning. When we came into the meeting, you all had signs that said no more industrial expansion. As I explained, 20 acres of that property was already L1 long before I got here. I can't even tell you when it was rezoned light industrial, but it was. When it came down to the flooding, there were 2 people in particular that talked about the flooding. And those 2 people were in the Old Kenner Civic Association meeting, which I was that night. And Councilman Lee's office brought the engineers there and told them the reason why their property flooded was because the pumps were not working. They came to this meeting 2 meetings ago, and those engineers were here and also told them that's why they were flooding. So that really had nothing to do with the zoning of this property. I was also asked in that meeting why there were not any homes that was being built, low-income homes. So I told the gentleman in that meeting at Oakland, why don't he speak with Joey DeGrasse about it? I said, well, if he told you that. So I called Jody myself, and let me tell you, it was under the previous administration that said they did not want low-income homes and would not give them the proper papers or whatever they needed for that. So I found out about this rezoning. Yes, there was a lot of misinformation that was put out that just was not true. Now, after the early neighborhood meeting, there was also zoning meeting. So nothing was done that we do this with all of the zoning changes that we have. So there was nothing done to say that the community did not have input. I did go to the Civic Association to answer their questions, and I was met a little hostile at the end because I was not there to even talk about the rezoning because we had the early neighborhood meeting. It had already gone to the zoning department, and the person, Mark Johnson, the representative for the zoning board, who's my representative, who is black, voted for the zoning change because he had been there for years. He understood that. I was a little disappointed when they made it a racial issue. Now, as far as Pastor Edwards, some people thought that he was a pastor of Oakland, which he's not. He pastors on Webster Street. I have already spoken with Pastor Edwards yesterday and told him that I will meet with him next week if he's available to discuss what happened at the meeting. Let me say this before I conclude. He was not blocked out of the meeting. If you all know, being president of the council, I set the rules for the meeting. We had 4 hearings. We started at 5:30. In every hearing, we opened it up with a motion for the public. We did not deny anyone the opportunity to speak at that open meeting. When they were finished, we had a motion to close it. The council spoke, and then we voted on all 4 of those hearings that we had. Pastor Edwards came in here at 8:15. Why do I know? Because I saw him when he walked in the door. At that point, the hearing was already motion open, and it was already closed. And so once that's done, that's done. That's the rules of the council. We have to follow rules. Then the council was making their comments, and after the comments, no, I want to speak. Well, the rules have already been set. It wasn't my fault that he came in that late. He came in after 8 o'clock. So when I saw him yesterday, you know, he looked at me, and I told him, I said, Pastor, we need to talk. And so he have agreed to meet with me on next week, because I don't like that type of attitude even when I'm concerned. And maybe he did not realize that there are rules that goes on here, even with the 3-minute. Now, let me also say this. As far as a lot of misinformation was given, my number was put out, and there were 2 separate flyers with a lot of information that had nothing to do with the zoning. The other thing, as far as what's going on that property, no permit has been filed for on that property as of yet. 20 acres of it is already light industrial. They have rules and regulations what they can put on that property. Another thing too, there is a church across the street. Certain things that's on an L1, they cannot do. For example, because it's so close to a church, they can have a hall, but they cannot do a strip club. That's why you can't do it here in Rivertown, because of the church that's over there. So there was no need that individuals cannot put a PUD on that property, but the owner can. And I think that when it comes down to the actual permit, then you all have another opportunity to give your opinion. But this was not about that. This was about the rezoning of a piece, 150 feet that faces Reverend Richard Wilson Drive. When everyone kept asking about low-income housing, when you think about it, now the houses that are being built cost, at least in Lincoln Manor where I live, start at $350,000. That's not low income. There have to be a buffer between Farrell Street and that property. So 50 feet of that is going to be a buffer, trees, a fence. So that property will not be butt up against Farrell Street. So that's why I'm saying a lot of misinformation was actually given on that property. And I felt like people should have had the right information. And that was what was going on the zoning. And nobody came to me to say why they didn't want it zoned, only that we don't want it zoned. It could have missed with the flooding and things of that nature. When they put in for that permit, that has to be addressed. But a permit has not been given on that property. One other thing, and then I'm finished. As far as the one lady got up and talked about the cemetery property. We were not near the cemetery. We are 20 acres away going toward Baton Rouge. That property next to the cemetery is already L1. That whole strip is. It's been vacant and sitting there for, 30, 40 years. Now, I have emails proving that I have been asked over and over and over again by the Old Kendall Civic Association to clear that property because people couldn't walk on the sidewalks. They could not, it was all growed up and things of that nature. So I spoke with the owners to clean it up. Soon as the owners start cleaning up, then now they're hit with something else. Why y'all cleaning it up? So I mean, that's why we ask for things in writing. And Ms. Matthews, when the email came in, I did speak with Ms. Evans. She will elaborate on this, to ask her, you know, because I didn't know what part you played in the Old Canton Civic Association, and she said yes, to make sure that, you know, we answer. Now, the reason why, because when we answer, we investigate, and we want to know if these accusations have anything to do with what we were doing, and they did not with the zoning of this. And if you would go back, I do have a copy, and if you'd like to meet with me, I will. I do have a copy of the article that you all put against, said that Commander would not be a good neighbor or whatever, but you didn't get to all of the information. You only got part of it. So there is another part to it, and we do have it. So I would gladly meet with you on that. But don't think that we didn't, because we did. We did do this thing right and by the books. Anything else? Meeting adjourned.